Let's get to some football. You had something to say about Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. Accolades aside, how far do you feel like the gap is between where Kirby Smart is right now and ultimately Nick Saban?
I think Kirby Smart, the only reason I can't say this emphatically because I've seen them together, but I think they're the same person, except Kirby Smart was 47 years old? Nick Saban, 72, and working for ESPN. Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football, and he is Nick Saban. I think he's better at his age than Nick Saban was at his age, and I think it's scary. I could give you the crazy, Kirby Smart's going to win more national championships than Nick Saban, but I think he's going to contend with it at some point. He's that good.
Is it one of those things where we have to grade him on a curve? Because we talk about Nick Saban and the era that he coached in with the BCS and the 14 playoff, like Kirby Smart, if he goes and wins, let's just say 2 more national championships, it'll be in the NIL era, the portal era, the 12-team playoff. Does that factor into your mind in that discussion?
No, I think the hard thing is to look at Saban and compare him to Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
I covered the last 2 years of Paul Bryant. So, are his 6 championships comparable? So I think it's harder to win now because Bryant won a couple that, let's be honest, were illegitimate.
Yeah.
Bear Bryant won a national championship in 1973, and he lost the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame in a 1-2 game.
Yeah, they don't talk about that.
You don't do that.
They don't talk about
Saban
that.
Saban doesn't have any of those.
Yeah.
His championship at LSU was, I think, a split, but he won the one that mattered.
Sure.
So I think it gets harder. I was on with Mad Dog Russo today, who I think seriously needs to see a therapist. But he was telling me how much more difficult it's going to be for Kirby Smart. So, he could lose a game. I said, of course he could lose a game.
Yeah.
He lost a game last year and it cost him a championship.
Yeah.
He can lose a game this year and it won't matter. Yeah, you still have to win for maybe 3 or 4 playoff games, but I'm not worried about that.
I'm with you. The idea of Georgia being able to lose 2 games and still go on a run to win a national title should be terrifying for the rest of college football. We're here in Dallas for a reason. Oklahoma and Texas joining the conference. Let's start with Oklahoma. What's going to be the toughest part for them about acclimating to the SEC?
I just think it's the transitional period. I don't completely buy, they've been playing the Big 12. They have, but Texas did go to Alabama last year. I think that ended their debate. Mm-hmm. I think Oklahoma is not quite at the level of where that program has been with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray and all those guys. But I don't think they're far from it either. But the problem nowadays, by the way, I've heard you say this on our show countless times, so I'll try to sound smart because I take notes. There's a fine line. There's 3 or 4 games that will tip the scales, and now, as we have said ad nauseum, if you're Tennessee, if you're LSU, if you're Ole Miss, if you're Missouri, you're in that pack where you have to turn a game or you're not going to make the playoffs. So I think it's exciting from that standpoint, but it's still Georgia up here and Texas hanging around, and I don't know who is it Alabama? Is it?
Sure.
I'll leave it to you.
Sure. And I guess the beautiful part is we'll find out here in a matter of a couple of months. That field doesn't tell any lies from what I've been told.
Yeah, I love the commentator at Media Days, and you've interviewed them all and go, I could be wrong. We're of course we're always wrong.
Yeah.
But when you make a prediction, never have any doubt.
There you go.
And what's one thing I admire about you is that you spit it out, and it doesn't matter whether it's right or not.
There you go.
You're confident in your opinion.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. How do you feel about Texas? This first year in the SEC, you mentioned them in comparison to Georgia and being kind of that top of the food chain more or less in the SEC. Where do you see them first year in this conference?
They're probably number 2, and the reason is they have an elite quarterback, and the guy after the elite quarterback may be better. I don't know, but I like having him as a backup. And secondly, their recruiting is so deep, as I've heard you point out so many different times, and they're ready. Texas is not in need of anything. Mm-hmm. I love their attitude. I was out there 2 weeks ago for the celebration, and is it bigger and better? Yeah, we had a 4-hour show, And if you were watching, it looked like there were 50,000 people there. And we were yucking it up. 50,000 people have showed up to welcome Texas. Wrong. They were actually there for a Pitbull concert, but we didn't tell anybody that.
Yeah, that'll draw a crowd.
Yeah.
Mr. Worldwide, when he gets on the mic, that people show up in droves. To your point, too, quarterback science says if you have someone named Manning on your roster, usually a good thing. Last question for you here, Paul. We appreciate all your time. Who's the team we're all wrong about? Like, when we're sitting here at Media Days, just talking season, we're all making our predictions. Who's the team in your mind that, like, hey, everyone's going this way on this team? Not so fast, my friend.
I think it could be Florida. And by the way, I don't know why I say that, because I'm the one who's been asking every guest for the last 6 months, what do you think about Florida? But all they need to do, I mean, their expectations, it might be as low as they've ever been. I mean, I remember, Tim Tebow told me not long ago that in 2009, this was in the Swamp Kings Netflix thing last year, he said he walked into the stadium and started really crying because they only had 2 national championship banners up and they should have had 3. Mm-hmm. That was their expectation 15 years ago. And now it's, well, if Billy Napier could win 7 games, that would be – so I don't think they have much to prove that we're all – and knowing my business, Billy Napier beats Miami and maybe beats a couple of – we're going to be, hey, Billy Napier, early favorite for Coach of the Year. It's that. Now, again, if he loses to Miami, forget everything I just said.
Fair enough. Well, Paul, we appreciate you making time. Appreciate what you do for college football. And the busiest man at SEC Media Days, making it happen. That's you. That's you. You're making the rounds here. We just got to sit at this desk and talk about it, and you got people tugging on your shirt saying, come join us. So thank you for making time.
It is my pleasure. So good to see you.
Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.